The suspect met with school officials the day before, according to the sheriff and the prosecutors, and his parents were at the school for a meeting hours before the violence. Well, nobody's saying what exactly those meetings were about, but Ethan Crumbley is being charged as an adult. During his arraignment yesterday, the court entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. Prosecutors say they have a mountain of evidence that the shooting was something premeditated. Crime and Justice correspondent Shimon Prokopez reports that includes the suspect's journal and videos from his phone.
One of the investigators was in court at the arraignment for the alleged shooter. He talked about some of that evidence. Here's what he said.
Two separate videos recovered from Ethan's cell phone taken in a search warrant depicted a video made by him the night before the incident wherein he talked about shooting and killing students the next day at Oxford High School. Further, a journal was recovered from Ethan's backpack, also detailing his desire to shoot up a school to include murdering students.
And again, as the prosecutor has said, there is something else. So we don't know what that information is, but clearly she believes, based on everything they've seen and the evidence that they have, that this was planned. What is so significant, Robin, is that she says this was planned well in advance. Though he made those videos the day of, the videos the night before the shooting, and there are those journals, there's still a lot of questions about, well, were there red flags that were missed? The school says they didn't really have any information. The sheriff says they didn't have any information that something was amiss. Obviously, the behavioral issues that he had came to the school's attention, but what was done next? And it seems that the prosecutor is indicating that perhaps there's other information that maybe perhaps could have prevented this some way.
Shimon, thank you. Prosecutors are now considering possible charges against the parents. Now, they haven't said what those charges could be or shared any evidence that they may have found, if any, but we've tried to reach out to the parents, and we're trying to see if they too have an attorney who could comment. Friends and family are remembering the lives of the 4 students who died in the gunfire. 17-year-old Justin Schilling passed away at the hospital yesterday. The restaurant where he worked says he was a devoted friend and co-worker, co-captain of his bowling team, and simply a pleasure to be around. 16-year-old Tate Meir died in the back of a sheriff's car. He was a football star, and his friends describe him as a great leader who always wanted to make sure everybody else was okay. The youngest victim, 14-year-old Hannah St. Juliana, was preparing for her first game on the basketball team. Her teammates are dedicating their season to her. And 17-year-old Madison Baldwin's grandmother says that she was a beautiful, smart, loving girl and already been accepted to several colleges, some, she says, with full scholarships. A student at the high school where this week's deadly school shooting happened said that the shooter was only 20 feet from his classroom as other students cried and called 911.
I heard screams come from the hallway, and the first gunshot happened. And my teacher, he walked into the classroom, he locked the door, he told us to call 911. And then we heard the rest of the gunshots go off, more screams. I was on the phone with 911. I didn't even really speak with him. I just kind of said Oxford High School shooter because I couldn't talk. He was right outside my classroom. I had to be quiet. And we were there just waiting, hoping we would be okay.
Well, Xander says that he then texted his parents that he loves them. Next thing, he texted his brother, who was in another class, to see if his brother was safe. Meanwhile, to the courtroom, the suspect's attorney said in court, "My client is standing mute." Well, authorities say that Ethan Crumbley's parents are not letting him talk to the investigators. A judge agreed to transfer him from a juvenile facility to the Oakland County Jail. Criminal justice expert and retired New York Police Lieutenant Darren Porcher is joining us now. Give us some insight, Darren. The sheriff said that the teenager wasn't on their radar before the shooting, but the prosecutor said that there were red flags. How does that match up?
Right. When we look to school shootings, we have 3 essential tenets. We have intelligence, we have assessment, and we have deployment. The intelligence perspective was what information was out there. Robin, as you made mention to red flags, what were these red flags? There's been rumors that the subject in this particular case made postings being in possession of a firearm online on social media. So we want to capture that information. That's the intelligence piece. The assessment piece is let's take that intelligence information and let's speak to the alleged suspect in this case, which the school did. They brought in the suspect, they brought in the parents, and there was a question and answer session. That assessment phase seemed as if it was okay to let the student back into class. The third phase, which would be the deployment phase, that would be bringing police or introducing police into the equation. Now, we clearly see police were not introduced into the equation. In addition to that, the behavior of the suspect was something that we felt should have been assessed much more thoroughly, and police should have been brought in. That didn't happen. It resulted in a shooting, and it begs the question as to what were the red flags. But we clearly know that we captured a diary notation in his backpack, which stated that he was someone that was going to commit this act. In addition to that, the suspect also created a video making reference to a school shooting. So these are valuable or essential tenets that'll come out in the criminal trial.
All right, thank you so much, Darren Porcher. Appreciate you and your insight here as that case continues.
A family vanishes.
4 people missing. That's kind of scary.
Will they be found alive?
The girl walked up in my house. I'm afraid to even know what it was I did.
Lies, Crimes, and Video. New episode Sunday at 10 on HLN.